What's happening, guys? Edgy Outdoors here. This is Edgy Stahl. Want to bring you a new knife that I have here on Super Bowl Sunday in 2017, which is February 5th. Exciting to have a new team in the Super Bowl for a change with the Atlanta Falcons. Unfortunately, we have the Patriots in there as well. Sorry, Patriots fans. Anyway, wanted to bring you guys this GiantMouse GM2 review. I just got this a couple of days ago. Really excited to show you guys this knife. Box that it came in, nice little pouch inside that it came with as well. This knife is outstanding to, I guess, leave it out there from the very beginning. One of my new favorite knives all the way around. This knife, to get through some of the technical details, is M390 steel, which is one of my favorite steels out there today. We have carbon fiber handles that are CNC 3D processed. They are grooved to give you better grip. The back spacer, liner lock are all titanium, and they are all anodized. It does have a ball bearing pivot. The blade dimensions, blade is 3.3 inches. The thickness is 1.57 inches. If we look close here, you can see the thickness of that blade is actually bordering on perfection. It is flat ground, not full flat, but it is flat ground blade. The handle thickness is 0.56 inches, and you can see the curve in the handle to make it very ergonomic. Overall length, 8 inches. The weight is 4 ounces. If we look to see how accurate that claim of 4 ounces is, we're at 4.03 ounces, 4.04 ounces, so pretty darn close to their claim of 4 ounces. So the blade shape is a bowie shape, bowie, however you want to say that. So, outstanding knife. This is the sequel to the GM1, the GiantMouse 1 knife, which had all titanium handles compared to the carbon fiber in this guy. It also had a different blade shape. I forget off the top of my head what the blade shape was. I'll remember it here in a minute, but it was a little heavier as well. So this knife, if we compare it size-wise to say another knife or two that's out there. I have a couple of ZTs sitting here so you can compare sidewise. This is the 0561 from Zero Tolerance. So you can kind of see it's smaller than the ZT 561 Hinderer design. I also have the 804 carbon fiber from ZT sitting here. You can see it's smaller than that, so it's a little more along that mid-size knife with the 3-inch blades, like maybe the 0220 from ZT that I've done a review on this channel. Fairly close to the size of that blade, although you see the blade on ZT is still, you know, much larger. But this knife is also much lighter than those knives as well. Let's get to kind of, you know, what I really like about this knife. First of all, I never thought I would like the Bowie blade as much as I do. Tremendous. I like the belly on this. I'm a big fan of like Wharncliffe blades, and kind of, I don't like the recurve blades as much, but I do like either the flat blades, depending on the use for the knife, and I do like knives with a little bit of belly. This is a little bit thicker belly than I would normally be used to, kind of like the 220 blade had a good little belly on it. But I like it. If you're doing scraping motions, stuff like that, you know, it's really pretty great for that kind of thing. The thing that a belly doesn't use, if you're opening up those plastic boxes and stuff like that, plastic containers that you get when you're buying a new fillet knife, or, you know, earphones or whatever, they come in with those plastic, you know, they tend to not do as much with that. That's what I use my knives for. It's just kind of everyday little tasks around. I don't work at a lumber yard, so I have to, you know, I kind of end up limiting what I actually use my knives for, which is kind of everyday, you know, boxes and letters and plastic and stuff like that. But I do like the belly here. I like the flipper action and the ball bearings on this guy. Flies open, the bearings make it extremely smooth. So the flipper action works great. You can also flick it open, works amazing as well. I just love the action on this. I love the carbon fiber scales. You can kind of see as you tilt it, there's that 3D animation to the scales, which is pretty darn cool. I really like this clip, although you do have to be careful with this clip. As we zoom in on it a little bit, let me zoom in on it. With this clip, you gotta be a little bit careful, only because if you look, it's pretty darn sharp. Hard to see with that background. It's pretty sharp. You can tear up your pants pretty well. I do like the fact, if I turn it this way, we can also look inside. You can see this is number 244 of 300. So they do put a sort of serial number on this guy. I like some of the other details in this knife as well, like the anodizing around the pivot screw. I like the anodizing on the back spacer and the pocket clip itself. I just like those little details that you get on this guy, which is, combine it with the steel, that 3D carbon fiber, kind of explains where that $325 price range comes from. Pretty well thought out and, quite frankly, well executed design by GiantMouse. I really, really like this. I was telling a friend of mine that I might have found my favorite knife, and so that is very well the case as it stands right now. A lot of other knives that I get and have, I'm going to end up comparing it to these guys. This guy instead of something simple like the PM2 or something like that, the Mannix. That pretty much talks about the things that I love. I mean, the ergonomics on this guy are great. We zoom out again, like it fits in your hand well. Again, a lot of tasks you can do. It's a good slicer. The action is great. The detent isn't quite as strong as it could be on this guy, but it's good enough to make it work. Every once in a while, if you're not really, paying attention on a full strike of the flipper tab, it won't fly all the way open. But if you're really worried about that, get a speed save from Kershaw and get a cheaper knife with some spring action, some assisted action. Overall, the size I think is pretty great too. I do typically everyday carry smaller knives, but it's in that 4-ounce range where it's light enough. As long as it's in a pair of pants that it's not going to take up too much space. Some of the things that I would like to fix or like to have them do differently. There's really only a couple. One, I wish the pivot or the indent was a little bit stronger. Not hurt your finger to flick it open stronger, but just a little bit stronger would be nice. I do wish it was a little bit stronger than that. The other thing is, if you look inside here, the lockup is actually really pretty nice on this guy. We're running maybe 10%, something like that. If that, not bad at all. But if you look close, there is no steel insert. So we have titanium on steel in here, and so just like every other knife that I have ever used that has no steel insert on a titanium lock bar, you get that little, not stick, but kind of like that sticky click when you go to open it after flicking it open. So you get that, like, here, I'll put it up next to the mic. You can hear that click that happens when you go to unlock the lock bar. That is really all I think I would change. Now, some of the controversial things to this, you compare this to the GM1. I'm glad they changed it to carbon fiber. I do want to get my hands on a GM1. I want to own it so I can have both of them. But, moving to carbon fiber, some people have talked about the pluses and minuses that compared to titanium. Some people are just titanium lovers and want all titanium, high-end knives. Others enjoy this type of carbon fiber, like myself. The other thing that's kind of controversial in a very small sense is how you buy this. So GiantMouse only sells this on their website. So I've not found a dealer for the GM2 out there or the GM1. That being said, I don't know that that's super critical because they're only making 300 of them. Putting 300 of them on there, you're going to send 150 to Blade HQ, 150 to KnifeWorks, or however you split that up amongst various sellers. And, from a small company perspective, I can see why they wouldn't want to do that, right? They're maintaining, full price control, getting 100% of the revenue as a $325 knife. If they wanted to make $325 selling it through Blade HQ has got to mark it up for their profit, and now we're looking at a $600 knife, which I don't think would make as much sense for this. So they're really maximizing their profits for the work they're putting in, and it's hard to argue with that with anyone, right? So my personal belief is I think it's okay to stay and sell it off of your website. This is your product. Maximize it. You're not having problems selling these things out. There's no reason to send them through somebody bigger. If I was going to do bigger runs and wanted to make sure I sold them all out, then going through a Blade HQ or other, vendor would make sense. So my take on that, take it or leave it. I'm certainly not the smartest guy in the world. I just have my own opinions. That being said, that's really it for the most part on this knife. This thing came razor sharp. It's something that I enjoy having, playing with. I'll carry it occasionally just to make sure that it doesn't feel lone and doesn't feel like a safe queen in my case, but my safe. But definitely highly recommend for $300. This is probably the highest value, most well-prepared knife in the $300 range that I have. And again, it's quickly become my favorite. So that's about it, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. You can follow me on Instagram at EdgyStall. And again, please hit that subscribe button, make the comments down below, and we will be sure to respond as quickly as we can. In the meantime, have fun watching the Super Bowl. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.